Vernissage TV. My name is Althea Viafora Kress, and I'm standing with Pippy Houldsworth of Houldsworth Gallery in London at the Scope Art Fair 2007. Pippy, you have an artist, Laura Ford, that's been getting a tremendous amount of attention of late, and I'd love for you to share some information about her work. When did you first meet and how?
Thank you. Well, I met Laura Ford shortly after she'd been in the British Art Show in England, which is an important exhibition which tours the museums around different parts of the UK, which takes place about every 5 years, and it's a survey of what's happening at that moment in British art. Laura had had a series of small pieces called Chintz Girls, which were little faceless, fabric-dressed, child-sized figures together as a group of them shown as an installation in this exhibition. And they were very powerful, very poignant pieces. They were fun, happy, but rather sad at the same time. And it was that ambiguity in the pieces and that I just found very adventurous and exciting and very moving. We then started working together, and Laura led me down many different routes to see some very exciting work. Her work is very inspired by different events that are happening in the world at any moment. But at any one time, there are these childlike images, inspired really by her own children. But as I say, they are representing really sort of world events and equally sort of feminist issues, social and political issues, and ideas herself of what she is trying to express.
And what kinds of shows, museum shows, non-commercial shows has she been included in, and how do they relate to her work?
Well, Laura's been very well presented in the UK. She's been in major museum shows all around the UK.
Such
Camden Arts Centre, she had a solo exhibition. She's been in the Tate collection for quite a while. She's been showing in Manchester Art Gallery, the Contemporary Art Society have bought works, the Potteries Museum. She's also shown quite recently at the Aldrich in Connecticut, and Miami Art Museum and the Iowa Museum of Art bought pieces.
And the context of these shows, were they socio-political? In what context was she shown in?
To be honest, most of these exhibitions have been solo exhibitions. She has also been shown in exhibitions such as Disguise, which was at Manchester Art Gallery. And her work is obviously terribly relevant, whereas she's showing these figures which have this ambiguity of you're not quite knowing what she's trying to represent. But for instance, there was a series we've shown in the gallery called Desperados, which had these little elephant children, elephant boys, with big elephant trunks, and they were all dressed in fabric, pulling packing cases behind them. And these were really representing they were like sort of boys from Scott of the Antarctica's sort of trip, in that they were struggling through the elements, pulling the world behind them. Very moving, but very vulnerable pieces. And obviously they were disguised in a different way. She's used these elephant boys through different series of her works. And she has also, now those pieces have evolved into slightly more harrowing and difficult events, in that she's been looking at sort of Palestinian prisoners all over the world. We had also a lot of work responding to terrorism, which is obviously something that's been relevant amongst so many artists' works. But she did an extraordinary series called Wreckers, which had a big sort of Russian mother figure in the centre of these little dancing people who were covered with bells, like little Morris dancers, but had suicide belts of felt around their middles. And this too was a very strong, powerful piece. In Venice Biennale, where she represented Wales in the last one in 2005, she showed a series of large-scale sculptures, again mainly made of fabric, but using bronze in certain parts. There'd be bronze elements. She uses a lot of different materials. Yes. She will sometimes bring in ceramic, sometimes bring in bronze, but they were mainly these large fabric pieces with a large metal structure, so they're very solid, large pieces. They were looking at different sort of national identities. But again, there was this ambiguity as to which countries they were representing. They were disguised in different ways. They were looking at different genders. It would be a sort of male-female figure. There's nothing very straightforward about Laura and her work.
And the piece, the sculpture that's specifically here at the fair.
Well, we're very excited about this new piece, which is led on from a series she did recently for the Royal Scottish Academy called Armour Boys, which was the first bronze pieces she's made for a while, which are little child-sized figures dressed in armour, which have now been cast in bronze, and they are shown as an installation, and they've been at the Royal Scottish Academy and are now in a sculpture park in England. And from that she was doing a lot of educational work and various talks, and one of the, I think the educationalists came in and dressed in armour and started with the children sort of jousting and so forth, and it's inspired Laura to move on from this Armour Boy series, and the next piece is like a little person, like a little child, almost jousting, but his armour, instead of being really strong, heavy bronze, this time is made with tin foil trays, kitchen materials and sort of pieces from the kitchen.
Yes.
And again, it's this childlike element coming in, and the little figure is sitting on the chair like her own little boy. And yet he appears fun, he appears like he's jousting, but quite honestly he could also be a female waiting, sort of come hither for the man to come in the door. So there is once again always this crossover of genders, crossover of ideas, but he's full of fun, but full of menace as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.